I'm sorry. Okay, let's start. Okay, can you watch my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Yes, teacher.
Okay, perfect. Let's go. I think it's enough time to wait. Okay. Tonight we have the first part of this topic. We're going to check how to take a history. I mean, what kind of questions we can make, how we can start this process about collecting information and all the related situations, we can say. In a full case history, medical history, of course, we have all of these details, the personal details, presenting complaint or main complaint, the past medical history, the drug history, family history, social and personal history, patient ideas, concerns, and expectations, review of systems, just a general view because all the model 1 we had the chance to take it in count. If you compare this way of the medical history, you can see that the topics are the same that the history in Spanish. I mean, we have the chance to make that comparison and get that conclusion. Of course, both of them kinds of histories, according to the information, must take all of these details. In that order, we are going to see ways, expressions, details for taking in count. Okay, so if we look for a form, I mean that model of writing down, we can notice this. In so many countries, we have a specific way to do it, and a specific order, I mean. That specific order is giving us an answer how to prepare this material for maybe for using a general point of view. In United States and England specifically, you don't have a specific form. You don't have a formulary that it's the same in countries. You only have the chance to fill blanks maybe, or to check a list, just adding the most important details, or maybe small spaces for a paragraph. At the end of the class, I'm gonna send some files to the WhatsApp group for checking these differences. And you're gonna see that it's very different from Latin America medical histories. In that order, no matter the form we use, the information that we are collecting, of course, is similar, almost the same. So we have to take it in count and consider that these differences are done according to the place, to the hospital you are working on. Okay, so about the personal details, we have this specific person, the clerk. Do you remember him or her, right? Usually during the check-in, yeah, the clerk gives a form, a formulary to the patient for filling blanks with all the important details, with all the, I mean, the full name, the relatives or family members, health insurance, cell phone, home phone, everything, general information as we know. Normally, patients are the ones who fill it for not making a mistake. And they have to carry with them the health insurance ID. It's well, in the United States, is an identification, of course, that is showing that you are available for your insurance. However, on later consultations, a doctor may wish to check details such as address, date of birth, occupation, well, all of this information, and we all know it's important. In this first form, the clerk takes the information, organizes all the papers that needs, checks if the health insurance is available, and then you recently go to the medical assistance, to your medical appointment. If there is an emergency, of course, we have that way of working. We, at the beginning, save the life. We organize all the health situation. And the clerk is the one who has to solve all the personal details, documentation, health insurance, well, all of that. Expressions that we must use to find out the patient's occupations. We as doctors, we can ask, do you work or what do you do for a living? Both questions are the common ones. In that way, we have these possibilities about the answer, okay? No, I'm unemployed, could be, or I'm out of work, the same. No, I'm retired, or I'm a pensioner, okay? Oh, yes, I work for a bank, or I work in a factory, for example, okay? So taking these expressions in count, we have different ways to receive the answer because we are just going to the point. We are going to not an open question. It's very, very easy and fast to make. To find out or to check the patient marital status, we as doctors, we can ask, do you have a partner? Why partner? Why not wife or husband? Because nowadays we all know that not always you have a wife or husband, you have a partner. Female, female, male, male, doesn't matter. We are not here for judging. We are here for taking attendance to a patient. That's why partner is the best way. No gender is the general question. And we have these ways to get the answer. Negative ones, positive, and, well, different. About the negatives. No, I'm single. I'm separated. I'm divorced. Valid. No, I'm widow. I'm widower. I'm divorced. Okay. Yes, I'm married. Okay. Or they can say, I live with my partner, spouse, husband, or wife. Or you can receive this answer. My spouse passed away last year. Okay, let's check the meanings. Look, spouse can be wife or husband, no matter. That's why it's general. Similar to partner, spouse is the word that is useful. Widow is a woman whose husband is no longer living. Widower is a man whose wife is no longer living. To avoid saying someone is dead, to look for a kind expression, patients may say that person has passed away. So take it in account. These words are very, very useful for not making a mistake and maybe offending someone that has a different way of living. Okay? They are valid, of course. Well, let's talk about pain. Why pain? Because following all the research, all the studies we have at the moment, pain is the first, always the first main complaint for going to the medical appointment. Could be acute, could be chronic, that's no matter. Pain is one of the most common situations we have to take in account. And that's why I was telling you, according to research, well, we have this idea, okay? Talking about the case notes of our doctor, we can say case notes are taken for each consultation. So you were practicing how to write down the case report, and you can see that it's similar in the case notes, just information to fill the medical report. The presenting complaint or the main complaint section of cases notes records the patient's symptoms, of course, for example, in this way: right-sided temporal headache, severe throbbing. You can see there are not expressions of the patient. Medical information, right? Last 24 to 48 hours. In this case, the patient complains of a headache. Maybe the explanation of the patient was so long, well, we know how it works. But our notes are just going to the point. That's the same as the case report. Just for making a review, we have the definition of pain from the IASP, International Association for the Study of Pain, and the pain letter. This letter is one of the most important publications talking about this kind of studies. So let's take it in count. Just for information, not for taking account. Maybe from this text that I'm going to show you, we are going to catch some more vocabulary for evaluating correctly the pain, because we all, at this point, we have in knowledge, following again research, that in order pain is the most common cause to the assistance, to the medical assistance, is not well evaluated with all the doctors. We don't need a specialist in pain for treating this. If we get prepared, we read, we are up to date, we have the chance to make a great job, and of course give the best treatment to our patients. The IAF says that pain is an unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with actual or potential tissue damage, or described in terms of such damage. Okay, about the research. Pain is a distressing experience associated with actual or potential tissue damage, very similar, with sensory, emotional, cognitive, and social components. If we combine it, pain is not as easy as we think. Asking about symptoms. Okay, pain, one of the most commonest symptoms. Grammar mistake, okay. For headaches, a doctor would expect to establish most of the features below. Okay, similar questions can be used for other forms of pain. Let's see what kind of questions we can make. We have all of this chart. I'm never gonna forget this. Do you remember the Alicia Fredusa in Spanish? Well, this list has the similar components, well, if we translate it, they are similar in order to catch all the information. About the main site, where does it hurt? Show me where it hurts. Radiation, does it go anywhere else? Character, can you describe the pain? Precipitating factors, does anything bring them on? Time of onset, when do they start? Time of resolution, when do they stop? Frequency, how often do you get them? Aggravating factors, does anything make them worse? Is there anything else that affects them? Relieving factors, does anything make them better? Associated features, do you feel anything else wrong when it's there? Have you any other problems related to the pain? Duration, how long do they last? Severity, how bad is it? So you can see, let's translate this, and it's similar to Alicia Fredusa. Just for information, but this chart specifically, because we have the blue guy, it's gonna be into the final test, okay? So take it in count, start preparing on this. If you, while being creative, you find other ways to ask the same question, another way to make the same, let's do it. It's free. They're just suggestions. It's not a closed way to ask for, okay? The pain rating scale, we all know how the experience with this. Just for showing, for giving you more vocabulary. For comparison, pain-free to the unimaginable, unspeakable, of course, and the explanation of this division, we can say. Just for checking, it's not going to be to the test, it's just for having the idea how to express or how to describe in English this scale. But of course, we have lots of scales and tools. We have to take into account that all of them have a specific objective for the pre-hospitalian attention, for patient pain and sedation scales for neonatal and pediatrics patients, for example, in a preverbal stage of development. Oh, okay, interesting. Moreover, we have the pain assessment scales in adults, the visual analog scale as there was one with the faces, but the rest of the ones are according to the situation. What happens if the patient is blind, for example, or or has a disability that cannot get in communication with you, or is without any other trouble, or maybe just scared and cannot talk. We know that elderly people has this situation. We have to look for the way to make the correct assessment of pain. We're not making a mistake and not confusing on medication. Moreover, in pediatrics, we have all of these charts according to the different situations. Sometimes we just try to follow the parents' opinion because it's practical. We get in touch with parents. We can avoid troubles with that. But it's a mistake. We have to be objective and look for the best scale we get. They are just informative slides for information, for taking into account that it's important to consider all of these situations. At the end of the class, I'm going to send to the group not pictures, the links. If you want for checking this information, and choose the best one according to the place you are working on. I know that few of you work at the emergency department, and it's going to be useful. When we talk about pain scales, we have this systematic review. This specific one I like too much because it's showing us that in general, as doctors, we all have a different opinion which one is the best. That's why we ask which to use in adults. How can I make the correct assessment of this? And it's showing us that according to your own practice, we modify these scales according to our experience. And that's the point when we make mistakes. The systematic review of pain scales in adults just show us that we don't have a specific topic during the med school for treating pain. We don't have a specific class, we can say. We don't have a period of time getting prepared on this. That's why we choose the best way we have, and according to that, we give a solution. Of course, that's one of the objectives, so we have to be clear on this. We have to be organized in the way we work on this. It's not easy, of course. About the description of pain, we have this patient's descriptions, and we have the explanation. Patients, when they are native, they use these expressions. I tell you by experience. With some patients, when I was working in an international hospital, they used to describe pain like this. For example, dull, crush in the skull. And well, I have to be honest with you. At that moment, I didn't have enough vocabulary to understand all of these ideas, and I get mad. And without any shame, I ask them, I'm sorry, I cannot understand. Do please give me the explanation of the meaning of what you are trying to tell me. And they explain it to you because, of course, they need the help. That's why they don't feel awful about explaining in detail how they feel, maybe touching the part of the body that it's affected. For example, for boring, it's like a drill. The patient is not going to tell you, I have pain like a drill. They're gonna tell you, I have a boring pain. You must understand that it's like a drill. If you're not sure, ask, okay? All of this, well, it's a short list with the meanings, with the explanations. Just, well, take this chart in count because I'm gonna use this for the final test. But here we have lots of, well, some more. A list just for showing you there are many ways to describe this. So take it in count. You can study from this. That's okay. That could be perfect. But again, this is the one I'm going to take in count for the final test. The difference between acute pain and chronic pain, of course, is important to take in count. Why? Because we cannot get in confusion about these meanings. If we get in confusion with this, of course, we miss the treatment. Acute pain comes on suddenly, usually the result of injury, surgery, or something similar, lasts 6 months or less, relieved when cause is treated. The chronic pain comes on gradually, usually the result of conditions that are difficult to treat or diagnose, lasts more than 6 months, the opposite, of course, and difficult to find lasting relief. There are situations where patients live in pain all the time. Talking about the drug history, how to take this information, we have to consider this. It's essential to obtain the full details of all the drugs and medications taken by the patient. Why it's essential? Because the patients, we all know, not always say the truth. They forget names, they can confuse the name of the drugs, or they can add some drugs that actually are not taken. Some may be over-the-counter remedies, unknown to the general practitioner, or even unknown to the patient. The significance of others, such as herbal remedies or laxatives, might not be appreciated by the patient. I mean, they don't take in account if they are using, for example, chamomile or honey and tea, right? Or laxatives, for example, Zirolaxia, just as an example, okay? It's necessary to determine the precise identity of the drug, the dose used, the frequency of administration, and the patient's complaints or lack of it. We all know why. If the patient is overdosed, because of the indication, or maybe the patient decided to get this, or maybe the frequency is not the correct one, troubles are coming, right? Moreover, if patients don't understand how to take the pill. It's important to ask about known drug allergies or suspected drug reactions, and to record information on the front of the notes to the obvious to any doctor seeing the patient, okay? When you have the medical history, I think we all have seen that if there is a penicillin allergy, for example, it's labeled allergic to, and then the medication penicillin, for example, or allergic to cotrimoxazole. So big, because everybody has to watch this information to get the knowledge and not make that mistake, okay? Failure to ask the question or to record the answer properly may be lethal. We all know why. A drug allergy, a drug reaction is not easy to treat. To find out about drug history, doctors ask. We must check details of drugs and medications, suggestions. These questions are just for catching the idea. If you have different ones, welcome. Are you taking any medication at the moment? Which tablet do you take? Do you use any over-the-counter remedies or herbal or homeopathic medicines? So remember this. It's very important to take it in count. About the frequency, the easiest question, how many times a day do you take the pill? About the complaints, do you always remember to take it? Very important question, sometimes with medication for diabetes, the pills for diabetes, patients forget they took it and they take it twice and they go to the hospital with hypoglycemia. You have to consider this. About the side effects and allergies, do you get any side effects? Do you know if you are allergic to any drug? If the answer is yes, of course, what symptoms do you get after taking it? According to the symptoms, we know if the patient is telling us the truth or not. Sometimes they don't tell the truth because they want to change to something harder. About the family history, you must consider this. The age, health, or cause of death of parents, particularly parents, siblings, brothers and sisters, spouse, husband or wife, and children. We don't take in count aunt, cousins, nephews. At this point, they are not the most important ones, just the first grade relatives. Okay. To find out about family history, we as doctors can ask, do you have any brothers and sisters? Do you have any siblings? How old was he when he died, when he passed away? Do you have any children? Do you know the cause of death? What did he die of? Are all your close relatives alive? Are your parents alive and well? Does anyone in your family have a serious illness or disease? Is anyone taking regular medication? We all know sometimes by this question, they say, no, everybody's healthy. Is anyone taking regular medication? Yes, they take, and they give us the history about medication, right? But patients, it's very common. About the social and personal history, we consider this. We have to record the relevant information about occupation, housing, personal habits, like recreation, physical exercise, alcohol and tobacco, or maybe recreative drugs. Why recreative drugs like marijuana, for example? Because in so many countries, they are allowed by laws. Just for recreation, small doses, they can consume this kind of recreative activity. In case of children, we have to ask about school and family relationships. We have to check the environment when the children is growing up. Typical questions in taking a social and personal history are just suggestions. What kind of house do you live in? Do you live alone? Who shares your home with you? How old are your children? Are any of them at nursery or school? What's your occupation? Do you have any problems at work? When you say at nursery, we consider the daycare. nursery when they are babies, from newborn until the 6 month, from 6 months and ahead until 3 years, I think, yeah, 3 to 4 years is the daycare. Nursery, daycare or school must be the best question, okay, according to the age. Problems at work, of course, is a very, very important question, because this social situation brings stress and lots of consequences, or maybe is not letting the patient to buy the medicine. It's complicated, right? Some more questions. Do you have any financial problems? Do you have any hobbies or interests? What about exercise? Do you smoke? How many a day? I mean, how many cigarettes a day? Have you tried giving up? Of course, giving up smoking is not easy, so hard. What about alcohol? Wine, beer, or spirits? When we say spirits, we refer to tequila, Singani, I don't know, ron, the other kind of alcohols, different from wine or beer. Can you give up alcohol when you want? Sometimes patients don't realize it's a trouble as you make this question. How much do you drink in a week? What's the most you would drink in a week? Are you aware of any difference in your alcohol consumption over the past 5 years? So taking this in account, it's a nice question, considering the situation, right? About the reviewing systems, we have this chance to take in account, because we have to consider that they are personal questions, right? Once you know the main reason why the patient wants medical attention, it's sensible to ask about the systems to determine the patient's general state of health or general condition, and to check for any additional problems. Sometimes they go because of a reason, and then it suddenly changes about the findings we have, okay? The patient should be encouraged to describe symptoms spontaneously. Initial questions should be open-ended and as general as possible. We all know about it. We have the chance of this. Follow up with more specific questions if needed, but avoid putting words in the patient's mouth. We don't have to give them any idea. They have to find a way to express the situation. Usually in USA, when patients make an appointment to the doctor, they prepare their speech. In USA and UK, they don't go without the complete idea, the complaints. Some of them make a list what's going on, or go taking notes about the chronological events they feel. They prepare the information because they know that it's not easy to get in that situation, and it's not easy to give that information. And for not missing or not getting in confusion, they prepare this. It's very nice. On the other hand, in Latin America, we don't have that custom, of course, and we receive a mess in the speech, and we have to organize everything with the patient. It's different. When we say open-ended questions, what's your appetite like, for example, and different from the closed question, have you eaten today? Yes or no, right? Again, open-ended, how's your vision? We are given the chance to describe this, the sphere. Or in closed questions, is your vision ever blurry? Okay, for taking account, it's a nice question, I think. Asking about the central nervous system. We have these suggestions for catching general symptoms, and according to the answers, we can go to the point, right? For example, do you suffer from headaches? Have you ever had a blackout? What about fits? Have you had any dizziness? Do you get ringing in the ears? Have you ever experienced any numbness or tingling in your hands or feet? Do you have any problems sleeping? You can see general information, so general, for taking account for considering the biggest situations. And as I was telling you, according to the answers, we have the chance to go to the point with time and solve all the doubts. About patient ideas, concerns, and expectations, it's very important to take it in account, because in order we take the time for talking to the patient, in order we take the time for solving these situations, it's better to get in confidence. It's easiest, and we have the opportunity to give the correct information and to give the explanation that the patient is expecting. That's why it's important during the consultation to give the patient the chance to express their own ideas and concerns about their problem, and to determine what their expectations are, what they are looking for. I mean, we are not gods, of course. We have human limits. We have technological limits. We cannot promise something that is out of hands at the moment of the consultation or the medical situation. Okay, we cannot miss or mix that information or trying to relieve the shock about a new. We have to be clear, we have to be so honest and say the truth. This objective, the ideas, concerns, and expectations, we can use as an abbreviation again. And there's a specific chart in the medical report when there is this abbreviation, ICE, ideas, concerns, and expectations. In this way, while taking the information, we have the chance to make a register about the most important questions and make and follow the process how this situation is developing. And considering this ICE, we have the chance to give the correct information to the patient during the process of the treatment. Typical questions for these ones are about ideas. What do you know about this problem, condition, illness? Sometimes patients have a little bit of knowledge or maybe have a wrong idea about it. When we have the chance to clarify all of this situation, we have the chance to open mind and to consider that if they are with a wrong idea, well, it's our duty to correct it for understanding the correct process. Another way of asking, do you have any idea about it? Or how do you think you got this problem? What do you mean by? Important, very, very important to consider what do they want to mean about something specifically. If we don't realize the meaning of their speech, we are going to make a mistake, because they can make an interpretation, maybe a wrong one, about what they are expecting. That's why it's important, the ICE. About concerns, what are your worries about it? Or what about it? Do you have any concerns? How might this affect the rest of your family? Well, talking about my experience, my own one, Sometimes you have the chance to talk about it in the emergency room. Sometimes you don't have time about it. And we leave this situation until the moment we have the time, I mean, for talking on this. We are always in a rush, always running from one point to other, checking patients from different cases, different situations. But according to the situation, we can consider all of this. Concerns, well, talking about why the patient is worried. Of course he's worried. He's a vulnerable one in hands of a stranger. That's why we should try to take a deep breath, be patient, and continue. About expectations, what do you think will happen? What do you expect from me? What were you hoping we could do for you? So you can see how important these questions are. What do you think will happen? So if there is a wrong idea, well, we have to help the patient or the relatives to be on the earth and be clear, to catch the situation, to understand how wrong or how good is it. What do you expect from me? It's a question, very hard question. Sometimes they tell you, I want you to save my relative. And they don't matter, they don't realize that the situation is not an easy according to the process. They sometimes, or patients or relatives of patients, see us like as if we have the magical trick, and according to that we can give a solution in fast without the process. So it's not possible to do it. We have to be clear on this. If there is no way to solve the situation, if it's so hard, or maybe if the patient must be admitted according to the situation, it's not easy. That question was so hard to answer during the pandemic times because nobody wants to say goodbye and not see again the relative, right? What were you hoping we could do for you? So about the hoping question, in order to what they hope, well, it's not easy because sometimes they expect things that are out of hands, as I was telling you at the previous question. So take it in account. It's important to take the ICE as an important fact and take the time to do it, to consider this, okay? Very important chart, the phrasal verbs. Even in the common English, while learning this, we don't want to work with them, but they are very, very easy to use, I mean, while practicing, and they save too much time while doing this. Phrasal verbs are often used in informal spoken English, right? Both patients and doctors may use them in consultations. A phrasal verb may have several meanings according to the context, of course. So we have the chance to save time to make the speech, I can say, interesting, to make the speech easier. And for example, common ones are this: bring on, bring up, carry on, come on, give up, put on, turn out, turn up. They are so nice to work on. As I was telling you, they save time. You break the ice while talking with this because they feel, well, it's comfortable to talk in that way. So for example, a question with bring up. When do you cough? Do you bring up any phlegm? Easier, right? We can, well, the meaning. Do you expectorate? Do you vomit? Right? Instead of saying expectorate any phlegm or do you vomit phlegms, it's better to say bring up, right? It's comfortable. Or come on. When does the pain come on? It's better, it looks informal, it gets in confidence. It's better to say when does the pain commence, right? About put on. I put on a lot of weight in the last month or so. Sometimes it's better to use this put on expression instead of gain weight because of the psychological effect while talking about the specific situation, okay? About give up. My advice is to give up smoking. Of course, my advice is to stop smoking, right? Give up sounds better than stop. It's not like an order. You feel better listening, give up than the stop, right? So keep on practicing on this. Of course, we are going to use this. This chart we are going to use for homework, maybe at the final test. I'm checking if it's as important as that. Try to get into the context, and it's easier to make. And your eye cannot see anything that your brain does not know. Okay, if you don't have the knowledge, there is no way to catch the situation. And that's why we are given some ideas, some expressions, how to collect the correct information. I think it's important. I think it's nice. It's fun. So take them in count. Let's practice on this. And don't worry, we have the chance to do it. At this point, do you have any question? I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sending to the chat the slides. It's uploading. Please let me know if you can collect the file, okay? Okay, as always, you send me in the chat if you could download it, okay? With a yes, okay, I could, something like that. Okay, perfect, Hugo. Okay, while you are downloading the file and giving me the information, you get it. Let's talk about the final test. It's the next week on May 4th. Well, that's how it's prepared. But we have again a holiday, May 1st. On May 1st, on Monday, on May 1st, I'm sorry, I was organizing my idea. May 1st, on Monday, we have the theoretical class. So in that order, I'd like to know if we could have that theoretical class or not. I'm gonna send again the poll making this question because, well, I think it's important to finish in the deadline. Or if you prefer, we can move the week. I'm gonna explain this. Please answer this as soon as possible, okay? In that order, we can solve it. May 4th, the next Thursday, the next week, we are going to evaluate just module 2. Of course, in Module 2, we are going to consider the case report, physical exam, lab and imaging reports, and the letter of referral. It's a full question. It's not too long to write it down. Do your best. And according to that, we have the chance to complete all the information. Okay, so take it in account, please. Consider this situation. Almost all of you are at the same point, going to the letter of referral, but the ones who didn't have, the ones who didn't have the time to talk to me, please let me know about it, and it's easy, okay? We can solve it. We have now yet at this point. So keep on reading, keep on practicing. Okay, Grace, I'm gonna send it to your WhatsApp. Don't worry about it. And I think that's all. So have a great night and see you tomorrow during the workshop. Okay. So
Bye, teacher.
bye, have a great night and start reading, please. It's a lot of information.
Bye, teacher.
Bye,
Goodbye.
teacher.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye, teacher. Good night.
Bye, Erica. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow. Okay, everything is done. Let's close this.